Okay, here I am with Matthew. Let's start it off. The giant's supper. Kyklopes. The giants autem, however, erant pastores, were shepherds, or were quidam, were certain shepherds, qui, who incolebant, who lived on the island of Sicily, and especially on Mount Etna. Can you tell me what kind of word qui is?
Relative pronoun.
A relative pronoun. Very good. Excellent start. So, who lived on the island of Sicily. Ibi, for there was Vulcan. What was Vulcan the god of again?
Fire.
Fire. Very good. For there was Vulcan. Prices, the protector of craftsmen and the inventor of fire, whose slaves, now this should, here where it says heirs, that should actually say Kyklopes. It's just a misprint that they had in this version of it. Whose slaves the Cyclopes were. He had his office here. He had his workshop, we would say. For there, Vulcan had his workshop, the protector of craftsmen and the inventor of fire. What case is fabrorum, the word craftsmen, in there, please? Do you know? The protector of craftsmen.
Would it be genitive?
Genitive, absolutely right. Good, because it's of the craftsmen. Very good indeed. We move on. Therefore, the Greeks, as soon as they, and again we've got, I think, only our second and final misprint, that should obviously be viderunt. The Greeks, therefore, as soon as they saw, should be viderunt, as soon as they saw the monster, paine, almost ex animati, almost done in, almost dead with terrore, with terror. Do you know what case terrore is in? With terror, by, with, or from?
Ablative.
Ablative. Very good. Excellent, Matthew. Almost done in with terror. They refugerunt, they fled into the inner part of the cave, genitive again there, and they conarbantur, they were trying. Now conarbantur, this is where it gets a bit more difficult. They were trying. That looks passive. It looks like it should be they were being tried, but it's actually active. They were trying. Why?
Deponent verb.
Deponent verb. Very well done. They were trying to hide themselves there. Polyphemus, however, for thus the Cyclops appellabator, for thus the Cyclops was called. Active or passive, Matthew?
Would it be active?
Active. If it was he was calling the Cyclops.
Oh no, passive.
Passive, because it was being called. Very well done. Good. For thus the Cyclops was
Is that
called.
Imperfect or?
That's imperfect. Very good. Very good. Imperfect passive. Compulet. Drove suum pecus. Drove his flock into the spelunkam, into the cave. That is where the verb spelunking comes from, which I didn't realise existed until the Batman film, which contained it within that, because that's when he's trying to explain how he gets his bruises, that he has been spelunking. That doesn't matter. Deinde. Then, cum obstruxeset. When he had blocked, cum obstruxeset. Here. Pluperfect subjunctive. My question, Matthew, is why? Why is it? When he had blocked.
Cum clause?
It's a cum clause, absolutely right. A cum clause or a temporal clause.
Temporal clause.
Cum plus the subjunctive. Very good. He made a fire in the middle of the cave. Hoc facto. With this thing having been done, or having done this. Do you know what that is an example of? These two words.
Ablative absolute.
Ablative absolute. Very good indeed. Present or perfect passive ablative absolute.
Having been, so perfect passive.
Perfect passive. Brilliant. Having done this, he was perlustro, is here literally, I look over everything. He looked over everything with his eye. Obviously the Cyclops only has one eye. Et cum sensiset, pluperfect subjunctive again. Why? When he had sensed.
Temporal clause.
Temporal clause again. Very good. When he had sensed. Now here we've got accusative. When he had sensed the men, the homines, when he had sensed the men, esse abditos, literally to be hidden. When he had sensed that people were hidden in the inner part of the cave, accusative homines, esse abditos. When he sensed that men, he felt that the men were hidden. Why is that accusative? Why is that infinitive?
Forgot the word, but the accusative infinitive.
Accusative infinitive phrase. Good, yeah. So literally, a direct statement would be, the men are hidden. Good, yeah. Very good. And this is the important bit. It's the sensisit. Yeah. As soon as you see that, a verb of saying or thinking, like when he had said that men were, or when he had felt that people were. So here it's more felt that when he had realised that people were hidden in the inner part of the cave. Very good, very good. When he realised that people were hidden in the inner part of the cave, he exclamaut, he shouted in a loud voice, Qui homines estis, who are you people? Mercatores, merchants, or thugs? Tum Ulic says. Then Ulysses responded, say, literally himself to not be merchants, themselves not to be merchants. So Ulysses responded that they were not merchants. So here Ulysses responded, verb of saying or thinking, themselves not to be merchants. Why is that accusative? Why is that infinitive? He responded that they were not merchants.
Indirect statement.
Indirect statement. Very good. Following a verb of saying or thinking, he responded that they were not merchants. So when he responded that they were not merchants and that they had not come, then he say, why is that the infinitive? And that they had known, perfect infinitive, that they had not come. So he responded that they had not come.
Indirect statement.
Indirect statement again. Absolutely right. It's still governed by this original respondent. He responded that neither were they merchants, nor had they come. Now take care with this. Nor had they come for the causa, for the cause of pridandi. Prido is a verb literally meaning I plunder. So they had not come for the cause of pridandi, of plundering. What do you think that might be? It's that and ending that gives you a hint for the cause of plundering.
Would it be gerund?
A gerund or a gerundive. It's one of the two.
Okay.
It doesn't agree with anything. Gerundives agree with anything, so it is, as you said, what?
A gerund.
A gerund. Absolutely right. Well done. It's a verbal noun. For the cause of plundering. Very good indeed. So we move on to the said, atroia, but while returning from Troy, so we got here for redeuntes, but while returning. What kind of word is redeuntes? Returning from Troy.
It's a participle.
It is a participle. What kind of participle?
Present.
Present participle. Good. But returning from Troy, that they, it's still the respondent governing this bit, that they, depulsos esse, that they had been driven back. Why is that accusative and then infinitive?
Indirect statement.
Indirect statement. Still governed by that original one from the last page, from the respondent. They've been driven back by the strength, tempestatum, of a storm from their recto curso, from their correct journey, from their correct course. Oravit etiam, he even begged him, ut licerat, to allow. He begged him to allow them. Why is liceret subjunctive? He begged Polyphemus to allow them.
Indirect command.
Very well done indeed. Allow us to go without harm would be a direct command. He begged them to go, to allow. He begged him to allow them to go, abiere infinitive, without injuria, without injustice, without harm. Tum Polyphemus. Then Polyphemus asked where the navis, where the ship, esset, where the ship was. Why is esset in the subjunctive?
Indirect question.
Very well done indeed. Brilliant. Where the ship was, on which they vecti essent, on which they had been carried. Essent there is actually in the subjunctive because of an oratio obliqua that I talked about before, because it's essentially there within the direct statement, or sorry, it's part of the, it's a verb within the indirect statement. So, said Ulysses says, but Ulysses, cum, when he intelligeret, when he understood, when he was understanding well, bene intelligeret. Why is intelligeret the subjunctive? When he was temporal clause again, third one. Do you know what tense it is? Intellixesset would be the pluperfect. This is perfect would actually be perfect's very relatively rare. Perfect only comes in result clauses. So here it's when he imperfect. Good. When he was understanding well. Now this is difficult. You've got the dative agent of the sibi, literally that needing to be where, that himself was needing to be where. Do you know what kind of word privocendum is?
It's a gerundive.
It's a gerundive. Very well done. It is a gerundive with the sibi as the dative agent. That he needed to be maxime, superlative adverb, very aware, that he needed to be very careful. He responded that his ship, conjectam, having been thrown onto the rocks. What kind of word is conjectam? Having been thrown. So what kind of ship is it? He responded his ship having been thrown.
It's on the tip of my tongue, I just can't think of it.
Okay. So it's a verbal adjective.
Verbal adjective.
So audio.
PPP.
It's a PPP. Very well done. A perfect passive participle. Absolutely right. That his ship, having been thrown on the rocks, omnino, had been completely destroyed. He responded again. This is the same word as we had last time. As soon as I see that, I'm looking for an accusative infinitive.
Yep.
Why is that accusative infinitive?
Indirect statement.
Indirect statement again. He responded that his ship had been, having been thrown on the rocks, had been completely destroyed. Polyphemus, however, with nullo responso dato, with no response having been given, nullo responso, literally having given no response. What kind of phrase is that?
Ablative absolute.
Ablative absolute, in the perfect passive form again. Having given no response, he Koripwit, he grabbed two of his allies, two of his shipmates in his hand, and he koepit, literally with their membris devulsis, with their limbs having been devulsis, ripped apart, he began to eat the meat. Devulsis membris is an example of what?
Ablative absolute.
Ablative absolute. And what kind of ablative absolute, sorry?
The passive.
Passive, well done. Perfect passive participle. And we have there the horror of this Polyphemus character is the fact that he doesn't respect the laws of hospitality and indeed the laws of the gods. This is what makes him so basically doesn't care about civilization, doesn't care about gods. Very well done, Matthew.